What is up, everyone, and welcome into the newest episode of Nuts and Bolts. I have some good and some bad news. Which one would you like first? Well, we always start with the bad news, right? The bad news is Tony Tucker couldn't make the show this week. But the good news is I found a guest that you guys may be interested in hearing his opinions on some camp battles. Let's get into it.
San Diego Chargers are fortunate to have Lance Allworth.
On blue, ready?
Don Coryell.
Touchdown, San Diego! Woo!
Warzone Sports Network listeners, you guys may recognize this voice and face. I'm joined with Fernando Ramirez, former insider with the Chargers and Sports Illustrated. I appreciate you for joining, man. What's up? How's it going? How's life going since the last time you came on the network?
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, it's been interesting. Some changes. You said former. Well,
Yeah.
now I'm covering Notre Dame out in South Bend. So that's been an interesting move and process. Trying to see how everything is in college football. But again, thank you for having me on the show. I'm excited. No Joe Morley, so I'm excited about that. We don't have to listen to his man. I've been seeing some of his TikToks, and I'm sorry to bring him up so quickly, but like I see some of his TikToks, and I'm like, dude, you can't really believe all this stuff that you're like throwing out there. And the unfortunate part is he does believe it, and that's what scares me the most. But definitely, Mike, I appreciate you having me on and thinking of me. That means a lot, and I'm excited to be here and talk a little Chargers football with you.
Of course. I got to get you on the mic, especially with your recent guests and everything on Compas. Y'all been killing it over there on Compas on the Beat. If you guys are Chargers fans, go follow and subscribe to the YouTube channel Compas on the Beat. You'll see Fernando Ramirez all over the page. They're interviewing Chargers players, non-Chargers players, wrestlers, actors, everybody in between. It's a great show. But let's just get straight into it. First of all, I just want to talk about it real quick. Last weekend, I met a player. Probably the only player on the team that you haven't met yet, Fernando, unless you have met Zion Johnson. Have you?
I met him on Monday.
Damn it. I thought I had you with the first one of my entire life.
Yeah, I met him at the Chargers golf tournament. Good guy. You know what? He's big. Like, he's a big dude. But
yeah,
not big as in big, like big as in like he looks muscular. He looks like he's gonna be a force.
Yeah, so here is some context. I'm glad you said that because I have a video queued up here. I asked Zion if we could make a TikTok together real quick. I explained to him my whole TikTok page and how I go at the haters of Justin Herbert. So this video,
Joe Morley.
Yeah, Joe Morley, basically. This video was taken. I'm 5'10", 205 pounds for context, everybody. Chargers fans out there. This is how big Zion is.
Want to take shots at Herbie? Good luck getting through us first.
I bet you won't.
The haters have to go through me, and the defensive ends have to go through Zion. But, yeah, I agree. He was a great dude. And it was a small little event, Fernando. It was like in a little Slater's 50-50 in Pasadena.
Good food.
Really good food. He was just walking around to the tables, just saying what's up to everyone. He hopped on the mic a little bit, talked to everybody. They were doing a Chargers podcast there with Chargers Unleashed. I'm sure a lot of Chargers fans recognize them. And overall, just a great experience, and he seems like a great addition to the team. He seems like another one of those guys, like Rashawn Slater, like Herbert, that isn't necessarily out there, and cursing and yelling and doing things like that, but he looks like he's going to lead by example, and the Chargers have now built kind of a pattern of drafting those style of players the last couple of years, and I think it's a good strategy, especially with the move to LA and the life that these young men are coming into when they move here.
Well, and it's not just that, but it's also the Chargers want people that are in the community and really helping out in the community. That's important to the Chargers. That's important to the Spanos family. They were very integrated in the community in San Diego, donated gyms, bikes. They did all kinds of stuff when they were in San Diego. They're continuing that in Los Angeles. And Herbert's a guy who he really is like, he's gone to elementary schools to play at recess with kids. He's Joey Bosa does a lot of stuff. You know what? At the golf tournament, there was a kid who he's had cancer, I guess, numerous times. He's gone through chemotherapy 28 times. and he was there at the golf tournament, and it was to help raise money for children's hospital and in LA. And he started talking about his father started talking about his friendship with Joey Bosa and how Joey plays video games with him online. They've hung out in person before. And that's the kind of stuff, that's the kind of players that the Chargers want. Yeah, they want great players on the field, but also guys that are willing to take time out of their schedules and be into the community and do stuff in the community. And I think, and that's another guy, Kyle Van Noy. We just had him on Compas this last week, and he talked about his foundation of helping kids in the foster home system because he was adopted. Kyle Van Noy was adopted. So it's incredible to hear the way these guys impact the community. Chris Harris Jr., before obviously he was with the Chargers for 2 years, he helped the community in Denver, then came to LA to help in the community here in LA. So it's just guys that really want to make an impact on and off the field that really attracts the Chargers to some of these players. And Zion's another one who's like that.
Yeah, it's an underrated trait that Tom Telesco has shown when he's drafted and added players. And something I really appreciate about him is finding those guys that are really good in the community. I think the Chargers have some kind of record also where they're the only team without an arrest over the last certain amount of time, X amount of years, 5 or 10 years. So just making sure we get model citizens that represent the team right, that represent everything that their organization stands for. And I love it. And I think based off my experience with Zion last weekend, he's another one of those guys. Speaking of Kyle Fernando,
Mike, real quick question. Were you the one that asked him about who he wants to go up against this season or no?
I did. I asked him. He said, what, did it get out? Someone found out about that?
No, I saw you post that. And video? I was interested in when he said Aaron Donald because that's who he played. Obviously, Aaron Donald just signed his big contract extension. Saw him yesterday at practice. I went up to do some Ram stuff, and man, he looks lean. He looks mean. Right. So I'm actually that matchup is going to be fun. I hate, and hate's a strong word. I hate the fact that the Chargers aren't playing them until the back end of the season, where if the Rams have already won the division or if the Chargers have already done it or whatever, they could potentially sit players or kind of rest players. But I mean, obviously at the second to last game of the season, you're not really going to do that. But still, I wish that game was more in the middle of the season just to really see what both of these teams have got. But that matchup is going to be one that's going to be circled. Zion Johnson against Aaron Donald.
Yeah, that's the guy that he said. He wants to go against the best of the best. We were talking about Myles Garrett a little bit also. And I was just bringing up some names that he might have to see this season. It's going to be interesting. Another thing, when he was walking by to walk up to the mic, he kind of like walked right past my table. And he said, "What's up?" to me again. And we talked a little bit more. And I complimented him on his shoes. He said that they were his favorite shoes. He was wearing these giant baby blue Crocs, size 18s or something crazy. Crocs. he's out here.
I was waiting for you to say like Jordans or I was waiting for like Jordans or KDs or Kobe's or LeBron's, but Crocs.
They were massive. They were Chargers baby blue.
Wow.
That was an awesome event. If you guys ever run into any die-hard Bolt Club Flyers, definitely go and attend them. I had a good time. I'll go to more in the future. But speaking of Kyle Van Noy, Fernando, you guys just had him on the podcast. I enjoyed it a lot. Talked a lot about culture and how these veterans coming in are changing the idea of the defense, that it's not just about having a bunch of talent on the defense. That it goes much further than that. So how do you think that guys like Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, kind of mixing in with Derwin James and Joey Bosa and the other veterans on the team, are going to change the culture and change the mindset from the team that seems like they've always been cursed to now Super Bowl winning Chargers team in 2022? What do you think, Fernando, how these guys are going to impact it?
You just have more talent at every level. I mean, you're literally going to have to defend Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack on the edges. And it's funny because I think last year was more of an outlier season for Khalil with that foot injury. And the crazy part is he still had 7 sacks in like 6 games.
Exactly.
So he's still there. He still got it. And I think Ronaldo Hill was asked about it on Tuesday by Chargers media. And he's like, Khalil looks really good. And that's without seeing him in pads or any of that. So that's going to be really interesting. But I think it's only going to help. I mean, I asked Derwin on Monday. I'm like, Derwin, at one point, it could be you, Khalil, and Joey on the same side rushing the quarterback. He starts laughing. He's like, "Stop playing with me, man. Can you imagine like who's going to stop us from getting through? Like no offensive line is going to be able to stop all 3 of us. They may be able to stop one if that, but they're not gonna stop all three of us. So Derwin's really excited about it, and it just adds more playmakers to a defense that last year it was frustrating. I mean, at one point you had lost Asante Samuel Jr. to a second concussion. You had lost Mike Davis to I think a hamstring injury, or I can't remember what injury he had. But in the month of November, it was rough for the Chargers because they were missing two corners. There was no pass rush established opposite Joey Bosa, who Nwosu had some good, decent games, but it wasn't that physical presence that you need on the opposite side, the way kind of Melvin Ingram is. Now, Melvin Ingram was a great player for the Chargers, but this is a huge upgrade from Melvin Ingram to Khalil Mack. So I just think those three guys are really going to impact this defense. And Kyle Van Noy, I think Kyle Van Noy is going to be kind of like a positionless player in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think he's going to have different roles. Last year, I remember even when the Chargers played him, he covered Austin Eckler well. And I feel like the Chargers, one of their weaknesses has always been the coverage against the running backs. So Kyle may be one of those guys. Kyle may also be, because last year they used Justin Jones, Kyle Fackrell, Joey Bosa, and I can't remember who the fourth, and Uchenna Nwosu as third down pass rushers. So this year it could literally be Khalil Mack, Kyle Van Noy, Joey Bosa, and maybe Sebastian Joseph Day or Morgan Fox. But that is a scary four pass rushers that can really get to the quarterback. And especially if you use stunts and everything, Kyle Van Noy may come open. I mean, I literally told Gilbert on the podcast, with these three guys, you could potentially see about a 35 to 40 sack season from all three of them combined, if not more. And I told Gilbert when Khalil Mack when they traded for Khalil Mack, Chargers are going to lead the league next year in fumbles and fumble recoveries. I think Joey and Khalil are going to make the opposing quarterback fumble numerous times. But I just think it helps build their culture. J.C. Jackson's another one of those guys that is a stud. He's played well in that New England system. Mm-hmm. Now he comes here. Now he comes to the Chargers, and I just feel like Brandon Staley's going to really use him in a good way, put him in positions to succeed the way he's going to do with Kyle Van Noy and with Khalil Mack. But Ronaldo Hill and Brandon Staley right now are like that Patrick Starr gif where he's going like that, because from last year, I mean, you saw that Kansas City Chiefs game on Thursday night. The Chargers should have won that game, and the only reason why they didn't is because Derwin goes out. I think Asante still hadn't come back, and they had Kansas City kind of where they wanted him, and Derwin isn't able to complete the game, and that's when Travis Kelce went crazy. So I think if this defense stays healthy, it'll be a top 5 defense for sure.
Yeah, even without ASJ and even without Derwin on the field that night, a lot of Chiefs fans don't remember this. The Chargers still should have won. Parham's freak injury and Josh Kelly fumbling on the 1-yard line. That is 14 points we left off the board. The Chargers should have dropped 45 and won 45-30 in that game, even without Derwin James. It's going to be interesting when we match up against those guys, especially when you have Derwin James, Joey Bosa, and Khalil Mack rushing on the same side of the line, going after Mahomes, going after Carr, going after Wilson. I have a sneaky feeling there's going to be a lot of check 28s and check 27s, those outside runs to try and run opposite way of those guys lining up.
And the thing is, too, real quick, is that Joey and Khalil are very good against the run. They've really put Joey in the last few years has really, he's really established himself as a really good run defender. And Khalil obviously is just a monster no matter what. But again, health is going to be key for these guys. If this team can stay, and Brandon's all about it. You saw last year, Brandon in his first season decided to sit most of their star players and Jerry Tillery during preseason and preseason games. So I thought it was very smart, and that's why they went into the season so healthy.
Yeah, I hope they do something similar again this year. I feel like that strategy really helped with injuries throughout the year. That's something the Chargers struggled with in the end of Phillip Rivers' career, was the talent around him not being able to stay healthy. And last year, guys missed a couple games, but I'll take Mike Williams missing 2 games. I'll take Derwin James missing 2 games versus what was happening in the years prior where we were missing those guys. I think he missed 2. He missed one for COVID.
Houston for COVID.
One on a hammy, I think, or maybe he played first half and then missed the second half.
The Baltimore game?
There was a game that he went in where we kind of all knew that he was playing on a bad hammy. Yeah, Baltimore, I think.
Yeah.
course. And that was kind of a throwaway game anyway. So it worked out for us a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty pumped. I'm pretty pumped, Fernando, to see what these veterans do and
Well,
how
I
they.
mean, and that's what I tell people. Like the Charger fans should be excited about this season, just because
Yeah.
it's something that you haven't really seen in the past. I mean, in the Tom Telesco era, he's never gone all in a sense the way they're kind of going in this season, and that's just a credit to him and Brandon Staley and the way they're building the culture of this team. And then one thing that I think gets overlooked about Tom Telesco is the cap situation. He's done a really good job of opening up the cap situation for this year to really go in and get big time players. I mean, in the past, I've never seen him go and grab the best pass rusher out there and then the best cornerback in free agency. That's unheard of. And then you bring a leader like Kyle Van Noy. It's just and Morgan Fox, obviously, another good player. Sebastian Joseph Day, and then Austin Johnson's the only one I really don't know a lot about, but he seems like he's a solid player. So it definitely, the defense should be really happy about all the playmakers that they have, and now I think they have a little bit more depth than they used to. Especially, I mean, one guy that nobody's talking, Bryce Callahan. That addition, I think, is going to be a sneaky good addition for the team as well, because of the different ways that you're going to be able to play these guys. Like I told Gilbert, I think Michael Davis is going to play a positionless role this year. I think they're going to try and move him at different to different spots this year and kind of use them in different ways.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they deploy Michael Davis with JC, who's kind of a lockdown guy already. He's probably going to travel with the best receiver most plays, with Asante Samuel Jr., who can play slot and can play outside. Just preaching versatility on the defensive side of the football has been something that, like I said, Staley has said since day one, and now Tom Telesco's kind of put his money where his mouth is. We're going to get the most versatile defense we possibly can have. Derwin James can play free safety, corner, or linebacker. Joey Bosa can play interior. Pass rusher. Joey can play interior or exterior. JC can play all spots. Asante can play all spots. It's going to be a ton of fun to watch. And it's at that next level is what I call it, when you have the veteran leaders in the starting lineup. But even if you lose one or two of those guys, the next man up is another guy with success in good defenses before. Yeah, I'm pumped for it. I'm super pumped for it. Let's transition into the next topic here. So there's going to be a bunch of camp battles for the Chargers this year. Not as much so with the starting positions, a few starting spots, but I have 4 lined up here, Fernando, and you can use your insider info from previous years and everything and opinions on these players to just give me the most accurate prediction you can on who you think is going to win these jobs. So we got right tackle, middle linebacker, running back 3, and wide receiver 3. Starting with right tackle, presumably the competition is between Trey and Storm Norton. If there's another player that I should shout out, Fernando, feel free to go ahead and shout them out. But I think that one of these two will probably be starting week 1. Which one would you lean towards?
Well, I know people are going with the whole, Matt Filer could be kicked out to right tackle, but it really sounds like the Chargers do not want to do that unless it really becomes a problem. I really think it's Trey Pipkins' time to really establish himself. I went back and I watched the Kansas City Chief game, and he played all right, but I really feel like right tackle may be his best position. He's athletic. He should be able to kick out. I heard somewhere that he had lost a couple of pounds, so I think maybe he'll take that right tackle position. I think the Matt Filer, like I said, is like a last resort, like a, hey, we're really struggling. I mean, because the Chargers have loaded up on guards really this offseason. Versatile guards that can play both center and guard. But I think they've loaded up on guards for that same reason, just in case if it's their last resort and they have to throw Matt Filer out at right tackle, then they might do it. But I'll go Trey Pipkins. I think Trey Pipkins, I think it's time for him. That 2019 draft, Mike, to be completely honest, it looks pretty bad. I mean, Jerry Tillery didn't get his 5th-year option, and right now, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if he makes the team. I mean, that's how much competition the Chargers have brought in. And then you look at Nasir Adderley. Nas is probably the better player out of that. Him and Drew Tranquil are probably the better players out of this draft. But Trey Pipkins has been this developmental player from Sioux Falls that everybody was surprised that Tom Telesco took in the 3rd round. Now has he developed enough? Is he ready to finally establish himself. But I'll go Trey Pipkins on this one, and I'll say that he finally takes that next step. If not, I saw Riley Reef is visiting the Jets today. The Jets one of these 2 days. I wonder if the Chargers will throw their hat into that one and maybe see if he has anything left.
There's one or two guys still out there that are veterans that I could see just kind of waiting to see
Dawkins
what
is still out there, right?
Who? Dawkins?
Dawkins?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Him and Reef. Eric Fisher hasn't like officially retired or anything yet. He's still out there. So there are still some options, and these guys are veterans. So I like to keep in mind late signings. They like to sign, later in the offseason sometimes.
Well, I mean, look at all the list of all these free agents that are still out there. Like, there's a lot of really good players out there still.
Yeah, that's why I like seeing guys like James Bradbury go to Philly.
Yeah,
Philly's
going to be sneaky good. Philly's going to be sneaky good this year. But now it's the similar thing with Tua in Miami. Now it's Jalen Hurts. Tua, you have no more excuses. If you can't do it with this loaded offense, then dude, you're gonna be gone.
Yeah, and what I've been preaching is that they don't need to be elite. I'm not expecting you to come out and throw 40 touchdown passes, I'm expecting you
be competent
to be very good. Yeah, to win a lot of games. The Dolphins sincerely have a 12-win roster right now.
Exactly, and the thing is, if in the first 3 weeks, because I saw the Dolphins' opening schedule though, those first 4 weeks are rough, and if they start 0-4 and they're not getting it, I wonder Tyreek Hill how quickly he will turn on. He will stay relaxed because it's
we'll see about all that. Yeah, we'll see about that. But I agree. I think it's going to be Trey. I agree with you. This is the position I'm most worried about on the team because I do think that it could be a fail point if things get thin. Hopefully they don't though. But I like how we have, like I said, versatile players. Matt Filer can play right tackle if there's an emergency, and someone else can play guard if there's an emergency. If we need someone to move into center in an emergency, someone can move to center and someone else can fill in at guard. We got lots of versatility across the line, but I'm gonna go with Trey as well. Let's move on to the next position here. Middle linebacker 1. I think, first of all, disclaimer, Chargers fans, I think all three of these guys are gonna be super involved in the defense next year, and especially the middle linebacker spot. But of these three, Kenneth Murray, obviously we traded up in the first round a couple years ago to get him, same year that we drafted Herbert, I believe. And Drew Tranquil, another guy that we drafted with one of our first couple picks of a draft a couple years ago. Both these guys have been playing on the team for a couple years now and have been the starters majority of the time over the past couple years. And then there's the new addition, Troy Reeder, who just happened to start in a Super Bowl and win it in the same system that Staley is trying to bring onto this Chargers team. Fernando, of these three, which one do you think will be our primary middle linebacker 1? Maybe not week 1. I think there'll still be a rotation week 1. But when things matter in the big moments,
I think it's going to be Drew. I think Drew is one of these guys that's very athletic. He looked like when I saw him on Monday, he looked really good. He looked fresh. It doesn't look like the podcast is tiring him out too much. So definitely, I think Drew is going to be the guy that takes that next step. And I think I really like the way Drew Tranquil plays the game. I think he's so versatile. He can cover tight ends. He can cover running backs. I thought last year what he was really good at, where I didn't think they did enough of, is letting him blitz. There was a game in Kansas City where he blitzed up the middle and he got to Patrick, and I think he got half a sack. I think him and Jerry Tillery got half a sack each. So that's a Notre Dame sack right there. But definitely I think Drew's going to be the guy. Kenneth, there's hope, but the hope is like dwindling a little bit just because you've already seen him in 2 different defensive systems, and he hasn't fit in either one. He didn't fit in Gus Bradley's system. He's not fitting in Brandon Staley so far. So it's going to be interesting to see how Drew or how Kenneth adapts. Troy Reeder, I think, is going to be a special teams guy. But like you said, he's going to be involved in the defense. But I just think it's Drew. I think Drew's been a really consistent player for the Chargers, and I feel like he'll be the starter at middle linebacker 1.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that Drew's the athlete that Staley wants in the field and in that spot. A guy that can cover tight ends.
Similar to Kaiser.
Yeah, a guy that can cover tight ends and can rack up tackles and chase down running backs. I want it to be K9 because I know the potential that I saw in college, and I know how much they invested in K9 trading up to get him. And I was so pumped when they drafted him. Just the transition into the NFL due to injuries and whatever other reasons, it just hasn't been smooth for him. It hasn't been smooth with us. There was even talk last year of moving into pass rush. I mean,
they did.
That's
why I thought it was so weird. So like the last month of the season, they moved him to pass rusher. Then against the Raiders, they put him back at middle linebacker, and I think Drew was hurt going into that game.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just so weird to see Kenneth play so much at middle linebacker because he was missing tackles, he was shooting the gap wrong, and that's why after the game, I mean, we had to ask Brandon, like, Brandon, why did you guys play Kenneth when he hadn't played middle linebacker the whole season or this last month of the season? And he's like, well, we felt he was like, this was the best time for him to go up against Josh Jacobs and some of the running backs that the Raiders had. But to me, it was just really questionable why they decided to play him in the most important game of the season when he hadn't been an important, not an important piece, but like he hadn't been that player that the whole season. But the Chargers decided to go with him, and it kind of cost them in a sense because there was like a third and there was like a second and 22 or a third and 23, and he was the one that missed a big tackle on the running back, and he went right by him, and I actually ended up gaining the first down. So so it definitely I'm interested to see. Kenneth has had now 2 procedures in both off seasons, so it's going to be interesting to see if how healthy he is going into training camp and where the Chargers decide to play him this upcoming season.
I remember that. Me and Tony are maniacs, man. If we're not watching the game together, we're on the text in all caps, like, why is this happening? Why is that happening? We're freaking out. And we were freaking out about that. We were like, why is Kaiser White not on the field?
Yeah, and because I know Kaiser and Drew were a little banged up, but still, like,
we needed them.
You have to muscle that up and go. And Kenneth was on the field, and I was kind of like, ooh, I wonder what is going on. But that's what the Chargers decided to do, and that was their plan, using Kenneth most of the game.
Mm-hmm. We're both going with Drew, guys. Chargers fans, let us know who you think is going to win each of these battles in the comments as well. Let's move on to the next one, Fernando. Joshua Kelly obviously has been the backup running back for the team over the last couple of years behind Eckler. Larry Roundtree got into the mix last year, especially earlier in the season, but kind of trickled out after that. Now with Isaiah Spiller on the roster, Chargers drafted him this last draft. There's a little spot here where we might see a battle for the running back 3 reps. I think I have an idea who I think is going to come out of this, and it might surprise especially non-Chargers fans, but some Chargers fans as well. But what do you think, Fernando? Is the team's love for Joshua Kelly going to keep Larry Roundtree off this roster come week 1? I don't think they carry 4 running backs, do they? Unless maybe one of them is like a pure special teamer. So
you like Joshua Kelly?
I like Roundtree.
Oh, you like Roundtree?
I like Roundtree.
Okay, you're going to laugh at me. I don't have either one.
Oh,
I have Letty Brown from West Virginia.
Okay.
He's an undrafted free agent. I've heard a lot. Well, you know what? No, if you're going to have me choose between both of them, I'm going Roundtree as well.
Okay. Yeah.
But Letty Brown, I've heard a lot about from West Virginia. And he was an undrafted guy with the Chargers. And I feel like he could be that. The Chargers always have an unhidden gem. They find a gem in undrafted free agency. You know who I really wanted them to get was Justin Ross, but he ended up going to Kansas City. I thought Justin Ross in this offense would have been really good.
Yeah.
But Letty Brown is a guy that I keep on hearing about. So I think Letty could be that guy that makes the roster. But if I have to go with those two, it's Roundtree. I mean, Joshua Kelly, you've already seen the last 3 seasons?
3 seasons.
3 seasons. Yeah, 3 seasons. No, 2 seasons. He came out with Herbert. So the last 2 seasons, you've kind of seen what his makeup is, and it's been rough. I mean, he's had a fumbling problem, and he's never been able to establish himself. And Roundtree, last year at the beginning of the season, he was actually not bad, but it's just at one point, I don't know, he kind of fell off too. But I think with this improved offensive line, it'll help the running game a little bit more. But I really think that it's going to be Roundtree, but watch out for Letty Brown from West Virginia because he's gonna be a guy coming. But yeah, I'm with you. Roundtree is the better choice because Roundtree, you've only seen him 1 year, so you with a improved offensive line, maybe he'll get better. So, but yeah. I'm with you, Roundtree, but watch out for Letty Brown. I'm just saying.
I like that you gave a shout out to Brown there because I actually was going to give a shout out to some players too. Like 3 or 4 players running the football in the USFL right now are better than Joshua Kelly at running back. No offense to Josh, if he ever watches this, man, it just hasn't worked out. And there's, like I said, there's some guys in the USFL that I watch run the football, and I'd rather have them right now on the roster than Kelly. That's why I was going to go with Roundtree as well. I also think that Roundtree contributed a little bit more in special teams than any running back that I've seen since Eckler was playing special teams before, of course, he broke out.
You know who I used to like watching on special teams? I mean, back in the day was Mike Tolbert. Mike Tolbert would like destroy people. Like he would score a touchdown, dance, and then come on special teams
on kickoff.
And he'd end up making the tackle, and like then he'd dance even more. So I thought Mike Tolbert's like when he left the Chargers. I remember a lot of people, even a lot of journalists, were kind of like, "Dang, dude, like you're really gonna let him go? Like he's good." And then he goes to Carolina, and he kills it with Cam.
Yeah, he did really good with them, and he fit their scheme offensively so well. It was a perfect fit. Another guy I liked, he was another running back that could have probably played linebacker, was Donald Brown. He was on the team for a little while, and he made some big hits as well. Even when there'd be some fumbles and interceptions from Rivers, he'd make some big hits.
I remember he got in the doghouse because he missed a special teams. They were punting against the Patriots, I think, and he whiffed. And the guy destroyed Mike Cyphers. And after that, Mike Cyphers wasn't the same. Like he injured his leg. He just wasn't the same punter after that. And I remember it was because Donald Brown had missed the special teams assignment. So yeah, I remember Donald Brown.
Donald Brown was always that system player.
He was good with the Colts.
Yeah, he was with them. And I think there's even a clip of Peyton Manning like yelling so loud that the broadcast brought it up when Donald missed a block. He like cursed Donald out.
Oh yeah, I remember
everybody in the middle of a play.
I recently saw that clip on Instagram.
Oh yeah, I think I did too. Here's the last battle, Fernando. This one, wait, why isn't it pulling up? It's not pulling up, but there's a picture here. It says wide receiver 3 on it. There it is.
Yeah,
wide receiver 3. This position
Palmer
is going to be interesting, and Palmer. I know who your answer is going to be. It's probably the same as me. But let us know a little bit more about Palmer. This is Tony Tucker's favorite player on the Chargers. He has a Palmer jersey.
Oh, wow.
He got a jersey.
Wow, okay. I just think what Palmer was able to do last year, and you know, it's funny, after practices, I'm a nerd. So like after, like I like watching, I like observing, like training camp is my favorite. I'm going to miss training camp. I love training camp because I'm a nerd. I watch everything that's going on the field. But like, this is the crazy part. And Gilbert trips out about this. I can see what's going on both fields. Gilbert's like, there's no way you can see what's going on both fields. I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, what's going on the other one? And it was like Trey Lance had just like intercepted. Had gotten intercepted. No, Jimmy G had just thrown an interception to Sunday Samuel Jr. And then on this field, I think Justin had thrown a touchdown to Donald Parham. And he's like, you're a psycho. And so like, I like watching all that stuff. Yeah. So whenever we do media out on the Chargers practice field, I like watching and seeing who's staying after practice. Josh Palmer and Justin Herbert stayed after practice every single time I was there. Why? Yeah. Because they wanted to grow their connection. That's why when Palmer caught that touchdown against the Raiders on 4th and like 26, I wasn't surprised. Palmer and Herbert's connection is growing. Palmer was actually, in my opinion, one of the best receivers on the field during training camp last year. That's why I was very surprised. It kind of took him a while to get jump-started. But once he got jump-started, I mean, he made a great grab against the Patriots. He made that grab against the Raiders. I feel like Palmer is going to really grow into his own this year. And I feel like the Chargers are going to really ask him to do a little bit more to really take this offense to the next level. Guyton is just a speed guy. He's a guy that's going to beat you down the field. He'll get open and he'll make the catch sometimes. Sometimes he drops some easy balls. But I think Guyton is just that over-the-top guy that can get other guys open. But I think Palmer's a special talent. I think he's the perfect mixture of a Keenan Allen and a Mike Williams. He can do what each receiver can do. So I think it's only going to help this offense. But Palmer, I think, is going to take that next step. And I think he's going to be a lot better this year just because you saw the promise in him last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if Palmer posted a 500-yard, 500 to 600-yard season and sprinkled in 5 or 6 touchdowns just because Palmer's that good. And I feel like he's going to take that next level this year. And and that just gives them another weapon to put out there and another weapon that that Justin can throw to. But I think it's just going to be the second season in this Joe Lombardi offense. I think Justin's going to feel more comfortable, and I feel like he's not just going to go Keenan and Mike or whoever the tight end is, who's obviously Gerald Everett. But I just feel like this year he's going to be a lot more comfortable in the system, and with the better offensive line, I think Palmer is going to really benefit from that.
I'm with you. Clean sweep. We agree on all of them, but who would have guessed it, right? They all kind of make sense. Every offense, and especially these kind of offenses that Joe Lombardi's been a part of with the Saints for the longest time, with Matthew Stafford in Detroit even longer ago when Calvin Johnson was there, they always had that small little speedy receiver. You had your Deontay Harris, your Ted Ginn in those offenses, and I think that Jalen Guyton could play that role perfectly. But why not let Josh Palmer play that role, who can stretch the field deep and can also run routes with the best of them and can also moss people when we need to throw up jump balls to him. He just seems like a more well-rounded receiver than Guyton at this point. I love seeing that Guyton staying on the roster, though. Tyron Johnson obviously got cut last year. It's a little bit of a surprise cut because there was some chemistry with Herbert there, but Guyton was kept around. It looks like Guyton's going to be kept around again as the wide receiver.
But that looked like a smart. Remember, a lot of people were pissed when they cut Tyron Johnson. Everybody's like, whoa, he's going to go be a superstar on another team.
Nope.
He rode the practice squad for the Jaguars almost all season. The Raiders get him right before the season ended. So Tyron, obviously, I think he hurt the Chargers in that last game of the season. I think he had a fumble recovery or he caused a fumble. I can't remember what it was, but really, I think that was it seems now like a smart move. I mean, obviously with the way Guyton kind of played at certain points of the season, they just need more consistency from Guyton. If you're going to be that down the field receiver and you're going to be that he called himself the Dennis Rodman of the team, you need to be more consistent and you need to make those catches and really try and stretch the field the way he kind of did more towards the end of the season.
Yeah, but he had a couple good moments. I definitely feel like he improved from the rookie year with Herbert, and I think that the whole Tyron Johnson situation and everyone being upset about it just speaks volumes to how good Herbert was that rookie year. A lot of people forget about it, but he did all of that in probably 5 or 6 games without Keenan and Mike. And it was Tyron, Jalen Guyton, and like Jason Moore. We were really pulling the backup receivers into the action, and that's how they got so much exposure and support.
I really do think that Justin's going to be one of those guys that just creates receivers and creates players and kind of the way Tom Brady. I mean, you've seen it. Like Tom Brady's had superstar receivers, and they get kicked out in the divisional round of the playoffs. He has average to below average receivers, and he makes it all the way to the Super Bowl. So I mean, and obviously that has to do with the special teams and with the defense and everything. But if you can improve players and bring them up to your level, that just tells you how good of a quarterback you are. And Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. I mean, Marquise Colston, who the hell knew who Marquise Colston was? And he turned into literally an all-pro receiver because of his work with Drew Brees and obviously him working his tail off. But it just goes to show you, no matter what, if you're drafted, undrafted, whatever, you can if you work your tail off, you're gonna be able to make something of yourself.
Yeah, JP5 hopefully is the next Marquise Colston. Hopefully.
Oh wow, there you go.
A little breakout right there. But yeah, I agree. And a lot of people forget. And I just recently rewatched the 28-3 Super Bowl with the Falcons and the Patriots. Tom Brady was playing in that Super Bowl. No Rob Gronkowski. His receivers, starting receiver core, Chris Hogan, Danny Amendola, and Julian Edelman. And he made that comeback happen. I mean, that's some next level stuff right there.
Those are 3 guys that you would think they spread the good word. Have you heard the good word? Are you ready for the coming of Christ?
The coming of TB12. That's what it is.
Exactly. Oh my God. You know what's funny? And I think the Boston newspapers that even wrote the end of an era, and it was him like on the ground, like after that pick 6. Incredible. I mean, can you imagine printing all those newspapers out, those headlines, and then having to change it?
Yeah, and change it like with 5 minutes left to go in the game. I mean, it all went down in the fourth quarter. It all went down at the last minute.
And you know what's funny? And speaking of that game, I rewatched it too a couple of weeks ago. It is incredible the way Kyle Shanahan, if you just run the football on that last drive, You kick the field goal, you're up 10 points. That's it. You've become a Super Bowl champion. And they decided to get cocky, not cocky, but they decided to get greedy, and they decided to throw on the next 3 plays, and they got sacked once or twice, I think, and it took them out of field goal range. So, man, it's crazy the way you have to really be like, you have to have ice like Kobe. You have to have ice in your veins in those last few minutes to really make the best decision. And I mean, the way the Falcons had run the ball all game, I don't think the Patriots defense would have stopped them if they would have continued. But that got Kyle Van Noy his second ring, or first.
True.
It was his first ring.
They were killing it on the ground. Devonta Freeman was going nuts. And they had Matt Bryant. It's not like their kicker was someone they had to worry about too much.
Exactly. So I'm totally with you.
Crazy stuff. All right. Thank you for coming on, Fernando. I appreciate it. Filling in for Tony Tucker this week and also giving us some insight on some of these camp battles. You want to plug where these Charger fans can find you? We're starting to get some viewership here. Hopefully they can go follow the Compas, follow you on Twitter.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no, Compas on the Beat is that's our Instagram, that's our YouTube. We're really doing a lot of fun stuff. And Mike, I know you're a big fan of the show. We appreciate it. We're Gilbert and I are actually revamping the show. So we're going to be doing some new things coming up. We're still going to try and get great guests, have awesome content, but we're going to try something new, try and revamp the show a little bit. But definitely we're excited about the future of Compas on the Beat. We're excited about the direction that we're taking this in. And it's just, man, we're Gilbert and I, and then obviously Dan and Dago, my little brother, we're really excited about the direction of this show. And I'm also on Twitter and on Instagram at RealFRamirez. Also on TikTok. I'm not as famous as you.
Yeah.
I'm not as good as you. I'm gonna try and get better. But Mike, you're killing it on the TikTok game. You're honestly so unique. I may have to take a class with you one day. The next time we hang out, I may have to do a class with you because I need to learn more about my brother calls it. My brother's an old man, so sometimes he calls it the Tic Tac. He's like, I need to learn more about the Tic Tac. So definitely, Mike, thank you so much. And you're honestly, I mean, what you guys do here at Warzone is some good stuff. You guys are great. I mean, honestly, I consider you guys friends, and you and Joe Morley, you guys are good friends. And we saw each other at the Super Bowl, so that was a lot of fun to hang out for a little bit. But definitely, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Of course, man. You're welcome back anytime, Fernando. We miss you over here in Cali. You gotta come on often.
I miss you too. The Mexican food is not the same.
I'm excited for the Compas on the Beat growth, man. It's been a lot of fun to watch so far and keep it growing. If you guys want some TikTok tips, all it is in the dance moves. You just gotta get it going.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know.
All right, guys. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Go check out Fernando on all platforms. If you're not already subscribed to the Nuts and Bolts YouTube channel, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. We'll see you next Friday night.
San Diego Chargers are fortunate to have Lance Allworth.
Don Coryell.